Welcome back to another one of our videos from our series. If you haven't watched our previous videos, please go and check them out. They'll cover all your bases for podcast creation. In this video, we will be talking about the requirements you need to fulfill to successfully launch your podcast and also about promoting your podcast to start getting traction. Curating your content is one thing, while ensuring you meet the right requirements for a successful podcast upload and distribution is another. While creating your podcast cover art, ensure to export the file as a PNG or JPEG format in RGB color scale, with the size of at least 1400 x 1400 px with ratio 1:1. To learn how you can design a professional looking cover art, click on the link provided in the description below. Now you know your podcast episode and cover art requirements. The next step is to start setting up your podcast with distribution. To do this, you will have to publish your podcast and make it go live. This will generate your podcast RSS feed. Your RSS feed is a URL link that will allow you to distribute your podcast across multiple podcast platforms from your hosting website. Some hosting platforms like Hubhopper Studio will automatically distribute it for you as per your platform selection. You can also manually distribute your podcast yourself, and to know how to do it, check out the link in the description below. It is important to publish your podcast to your distribution network and go live before your official podcast launch announcement. This will allow your podcast to be made available across podcast platforms by the time your launch date arrives. Planning in advance is important because distribution can also take about 1 to 4 days, depending on the platform. Knowing where to find and listen to your podcast is crucial in your launch announcement. You do not necessarily have to drop your main episode for this purpose. Instead, you can look at uploading an introduction episode, teaser or trailer to fulfill the requirement to be able to publish your podcast live. This will also help listeners to get a glimpse of the show, yourself, and what content is to come, allowing you to gather subscribers before you officially launch your first episode. Once you have all these things set up, you will need to look at the medium of communication you will be using to make your launch announcement. Knowing your target audience can help you pinpoint your social media platform. From Instagram, Twitter, Facebook to LinkedIn, there are various channels and social groups on how you can reach out to your potential listeners. For example, if your podcast is related to business and your potential listeners are business owners, LinkedIn looks like a good place to start. Drafting your announcement communication is very important. You would want to be crisp and to the point in your announcement. What is the podcast all about? What is the frequency of your podcast? Which all platforms can they find your podcast to tune in? What actions do you want them to take? Do you want them to like, subscribe, share your podcast or follow your page? Get people talking and keep them engaged with your post, and you will soon see the listens trickling in. You can accompany your announcement with an image or a video to bring in more of that engagement, and there are plenty of free tools and features that you can use to your advantage. You can use the Hubhopper audiogram tool to convert your podcast episode into a social engaging video. You can choose from various templates you wish to work on, whether that's for a social media post or a story. You can also add captions and waveforms to your video. Check the description below. Since your podcast will be distributed on Spotify, you can directly share your podcast on your Facebook and Instagram stories with playback features. If your podcast is available on Hubhopper, you can also share and tweet your episode link, which will be automatically converted into an audio play card, allowing others to listen to your podcast directly on Twitter. If you have a blog or a website, add in an embedded player for your website visitors to tune in. At Hubhopper Studio, we provide free customizable embedded players for your podcast. Once you have all this set up and ready, all you have to do is officially launch your podcast and announce it to the world. Now, we understand that at this point you might be nervous and skeptical on how others will respond. But what we know from podcasters is that starting is the hardest part, and it only gets better and easier once you get the ball rolling. Striving for perfection before your launch will only delay the potential for you to grow and start your podcasting journey. By this point, you are officially a podcaster. For any content creator, whether it's a YouTuber or Instagram influencer or a podcaster, One thing that drives the content market is consistency. Consistency is crucial, and gradually everything like your listeners and subscribers will follow. You can even look at collaborating with other podcasters to share and grow each other's listeners pool. Either getting on their show as a guest and having other podcasters on your show as your guest. This brings us to the end of this part of the video series. Make sure you leave a like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos about podcasting. See you next time, and until then, happy podcasting.